That was really nice.
All right, we're live. Good morning, mi gente, to another episode of Diasporicans Connect, episode 4. Today's topic is hot takes. So let's start off really controversial, really divisive. This is one that's been going on in the server for a few months now. Pineapple on pizza. Thoughts?
No.
Oh my god.
Again?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll start it off because I already know where this is going. I'll give you guys a story because I always have a story.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever had pineapple on pizza, ironically, was in Dominican Republic, if you could believe it. And I was like, I know. They also put corn on their pizza. We'll talk about that another time. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, but I never ordered it all the time. Fast forward in my 20s, I go to Fort Myers to see a friend, like my best friend, and she was a drinker. So like she was like, "Oh, we're getting drunk," and I was like, "Okay, girl, like let's go." And I was like, "But we need to eat." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get a pizza, pineapple, all the works." I was like, "Cool, whatever." We eat the pizza. I am drinking out of this cup that's like this big. Actually, that looks like a toilet. It is. It looks like a little toilet, and I end up in the toilet like an hour, 2 hours later. Like I am actually outside this club, like barfing, and all you see is pineapple chunks. And the first thing my friend says is, "Did you even chew?" And I'm like, ugh, ugh. So now I cannot eat pineapple on pizza. However, it's not bad. If you put a little ham there, it's not bad. I wouldn't do it, but I think that we should lay off the people who eat pineapple on pizza because there are people who eat sardines on their pizza. So I'm just saying that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, you're still in the
I
wrong, Yanni.
don't know how I feel about taking pizza opinions from anyone outside of New York, certain parts of northern New Jersey and Connecticut. So I'm gonna leave it on that, but I don't even eat
Mm-hmm.
pineapple
Mm-hmm.
straight.
Pineapple, no.
I
I don't
mean,
even eat pineapple to eat pineapple. I'm not putting it on my pizza.
Okay,
the
well then in
first
that
one I
case,
had.
it's not going to count for you because you don't like pineapple.
I never said I didn't like pineapple.
Oh, fair. Well,
The texture. I don't like cooked fruit.
yeah, okay. I see that. I have a friend who hates hot fruit.
Yeah, I can't do the hot fruit.
Yeah.
Like there's only been one person who has managed to get me to eat hot fruit. So
Where's he at?
shout out Wes's waffle.
Okay, wait, hold on. What do you think? Do you think pineapple should be on pizza?
Me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why he brought it up.
The
What about
ham
you,
and the
Brian?
pineapple, yeah.
Ban. Everyone who says yes, ban.
Okay. Oh, okay, Insanity. You're like super anti pineapple.
Super anti pineapple. It just
I also
doesn't
don't
belong
like
there.
pineapple, so that doesn't help.
No, I like pineapple. I enjoy pineapple. I have no issue with pineapple. I just feel like it's either sweet and it goes as a dessert or something sweet to eat and not a savory sweet dish.
Okay.
No.
Okay, in that case, how about when people put pineapple on their ham?
Nope, I take the pineapple off.
I take it off.
Can't
I think
deal.
it's weird. I don't know why. I don't know.
My parents make it with the pineapple. I won't even eat the ham.
I
don't
will
even
make
like
the ham because my husband and my daughter love it, but I won't eat the pineapple. That's just no, doesn't go.
No,
I feel the same
don't
way.
eat ham.
That makes sense.
Oh, okay. I mean, that was very controversial. I guess we could bring up the one from last podcast about like like hot takes on especially like Puerto Rican food. I still stand by the morcilla thing. If Wes was here, we all know where he would be in that. I'm sorry. Fight with your mama, not me. I'm not eating morcillas.
I don't eat morcilla.
Not
Yeah.
touching that.
Me neither.
Yeah, I cannot. I think they're.
I
Oh.
eat them.
You like morcillas?
You like morcilla? Ooh.
So this is the thing, right? I
Okay.
grew up on the island.
Okay.
I grew up watching it being done. The people that actually make it for real, that make it the real way. Like we literally wash the casing with soap and water. Like there's no shitting around with this. Like it's no pun intended. Like we literally clean this so well before it's ever prepared. So like that's one of the things that's why I enjoy it. And in Puerto Rico, the majority of the places that purchase follow the same process. so you never have that like kind of the U.S. side chitlin smells that sometimes you can have.
Mhm.
No, it's like clean. There's no gamey flavor, no nothing. It's like perfect.
If I want a gamey flavor, I'd eat venison. So
Yeah, there's no gamey flavor on any of that. None.
Why risk it though? You know, there's always a chance that that place doesn't prepare it well, and
It's
then
not even
you
like, I feel like for me, it's not even like the like how like because it is important, but like it's just seeing the process. I was just like, cool, like this is crazy. Y'all are doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But it does. I'm not gonna lie. Morcilla do like they taste pretty good. I just
They
most
do.
cultures have like their own version of morcilla, like a lot of like the pork eating countries.
Yeah.
Or at least like poorer countries, like where they actually do eat the whole animal. Like I know the English have black pudding; it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Black pudding.
Yeah, like it's very much like a we have to use what we have type deal.
Yeah. You got the leftovers. That's why a lot of, people that tend to be in the minorities eat like chicken feet, gizzards,
Ugh.
stuff like that, because that was the leftovers. You were given the leftovers. The masters and the rich people got the big chunks of meat and stuff. You got the leftovers. You got the.
I was gonna say, I'm like, how do we feel about patitas, like the pig feet
listen,
or orejas?
I
I
eat
talked
them.
about it in the last podcast. Or I do not mess with the patitas. Anybody's feet, I'm not gonna eat.
Patitas
But I-
con
No, but it's true. She's right though. Though, like, and Sandy's totally right. Like, it is that whole thing of when, like, back in the days, we did get like
Yeah.
that people weren't eating, and we made the best out of it. So, like, I can respect that, but I'm not eating nobody's feet. I'm not eating a pig's feet. I'm not eating chicken feet. I'm not eating. No, maybe maybe octopus because carrucho and all that stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
You can't get away from me to a tentacle, but like, no.
Yeah.
You see, I won't even eat seafood, so I can beautifully skin an octopus. I just won't eat it. But
Okay, so no seafood at all.
no.
Okay.
So what had happened was, if y'all ever been in a fish market in New York City, you already know where I'm going with this, or just any fish market in general. There's this one fish market. I really want to say it's like around 148 in Amsterdam. I would walk in there with my grandmother, and I'd be able to smell it. And I don't know if you guys know, your sense of smell is very linked to your sense of taste. That's like 90% of the reason you could smell, and like vice versa, basically. If you lose your sense of smell, you lose your sense of taste. Anyways, not the point. It smelled so strong in there, I could taste it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I am good.
fair enough.
Xavier, you have some very hot takes on food for someone who is not in here right now.
I mean,
Yes.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm just reading all his comments, and I'm like,
here's the thing. I don't understand how I am here and he is not. I think he should be here because you guys would have a podcast for 2 hours. Because I don't understand.
The
What is this
matcha kitchen, the matcha chicken.
All right, because
That was
now we have to talk about it because
yes.
Okay. So
All right.
obviously, for people who don't know, you're about to find out. In the server, for some crazy reason, there was a picture that circulated by someone in the server that took chicken drumsticks and decided to put matcha all over those drumsticks to season them because, and I quote, I had too much matcha and I didn't know what to do with it. So I figured putting it on the drumsticks would work, and you hardly taste it, even though matcha tastes disgusting. And I said, that is actually disgusting. And I shamed that person. And it's getting to the point where now it's just like the rumors have circulated. There's a movement on like what goes on matcha, what doesn't go with matcha. I'm telling you right now, don't do that. Like, don't do that. I don't understand. This person is Hispanic. I don't know. I don't know where he got it from. But yes, there are people out there putting matcha, like protein in matcha. So like it could be worse. Pineapple on pizza or matcha drumsticks. I don't know.
I will eat a pineapple. I will eat a pineapple pizza before I eat matcha chicken. So.
Yes, me too. Me too.
No,
Me
but
too.
here's the thing, because this person's not here to defend themselves, so I have the floor. Not only did they put the matcha on the drumsticks, they ended up being like, you know what? I haven't ruined my palate enough. I'm gonna put it on some ground beef too. So there is
Shit.
yes, that is yes. So I'm just saying I say nothing else. I say nothing more. I wish I had a picture for you right now, but the proof is in the picture. It has happened.
Not me currently scrolling to try to remember who it was, because I remember seeing it, but I don't remember
Right there.
who
Oh
it
yeah,
was.
it's in the
It's
food
in the chat.
channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
scrolling at.
And you'll see it. You'll see my gift saying shame, because what in the world?
Yeah.
But I mean, this person has a lot of controversial takes on food in general. So I do think that they should have been on the podcast, because we could talk about the pasteles with cheese, which
Oh
What?
that was him too. He
That's
put
crazy.
it on the podcast last week.
no!
So that's all I'll say. You guys,
No.
you guys be the judge on that. And with that, we should probably move away from food, because I just think if we keep talking about this, none of us are gonna eat.
Okay, but wait, because
picture's
this is
really
what
interesting.
I've taken heat on. Hot chocolate and cheese.
Oh yes, let's talk about that too, because I don't think it's weird. I grew up
It is
on
not.
that. Right.
It
That's
is
the thing.
a
I'm like, I grew
cultural.
up on
It is
like
a
the queso
cultural
de
thing.
bola or like the queso de papa and your cheese and
Yes.
like your hot chocolate, but you're not using
Yes.
like your little powdered like Americano like Swiss Miss. You're using like the chocolate corte. You're cutting it up real fine. You're mixing it in your milk, like your hot milk, and like you're making hot chocolate like the OG way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I agree. I don't
So
know
enough
why
for
there's
cheese?
That shit is bad.
My take is like, I respect it. I just don't like it personally, but I respect it.
Yeah,
you know?
it's definitely an acquired taste, right? Because especially with queso de bola or queso de papa, it's that hard, pungy cheddar cheese that some people don't like. Some people like the mild cheddar, some people like the more tame flavors. So with the queso de bola and queso de papa, it's like there in your face cheese, right? Even though you don't put a ton in your hot chocolate, it's just like a slice that you cut and you put it in there. But it's the way that we've always had it, especially for like novenas and like special activities like that, where we have family get-togethers, and that's what we have as a kind of like a soothing drink,
it's comforting for sure.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing about what do you call it? So, well, I wouldn't, but we were talking about this in the server not too long ago, and it brought up a lot of. I was curious because we have someone on the server who talked about putting coffee in their cereal, and I was like, "What?"
Shout out Maria.
Yep. Shout out to Maria. Maria brought it up, and everybody was like getting on them in the chat and like the channel. I was like, you know what? That does not sound weird to me. Like I've never done it, but it doesn't sound weird. So I asked my mom, because I was like, she was like born and raised in the island. I was like, she would know more than anyone. And she says, no, people have done it. She said there was a point in time where a lot of people did it and it kind of caught on, but they did it with like Cocoa Puffs instead, like at first, which would make sense because of the chocolate and the coffee. And then it kind of just fizzled out, but there were still a couple of like people who like passed it down. So
yeah.
You see, like the way I learned how to drink coffee was like with the galleta de soda.
Yeah.
And like my grandfather would dip it like in the cafe and give it to me. And then my aunt she was just a savage. She would just give me like a whole cucharita de cafe and just give it to me. So by the time I was 12,
I think like coffee in general, especially like with most Hispanic cultures, is like, because if you have anybody who's like not in that culture, they're just like, you had coffee at how young, like it's so bad for you and stuff like that. And I'm like, it could be true, but it is cultural, and like all my body parts are still intact. So I don't know what you want me to do about that. But
my dad said like before like the advent of like Nesquik and stuff like that, like flavorings for the milk, because my dad, like he was born in 1950. So like they would actually take like the littlest bit of cafe and like actually put it in the bottle so like the babies would drink it, like if they were being fussy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like people think when we talk about drinking cafe so little, they're thinking that we're drinking like an actual cafe con leche, dark, roasted, whatever. No, this is milk with like a few drops of coffee, you know? So that's what we used to have when we were little. And then as we grew up, then, you know, we were managed to get more, but that was the thing. It was just kind of like this one thing to like have you not want to have their coffee because, you know, I want it.
Yes. Okay. So
yes, cheese and the Cortez chocolate. Exactly.
yes, that's how it is. That's why I was like, when people were talking about it, they're like, ill. I'm just like, in what country? Like, get real. But I will. Okay, I have a hot take. I think I want to talk about because I learned about it when I knew about it, but not a lot of people know this. I might get some people angry. Dembo started with us, and that's where I'll leave it. I'm not saying anything is better than the other. I'm just saying it started somewhere, and it wasn't with our cousins. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not trying to fight. I love Dembo. I love Dominican Dembo, but I just know that it started with us.
Coming in hot.
I know. Well, I thought about it and I was like, ooh, this one's gonna make people want to fight me. But I was having this conversation with someone who actually is my friend from Savannah, Georgia. She's just like American. She's black. She's like loves Dembo. She's like, I don't know what y'all putting in this music, but I love it. And I'm like, fun fact, it was once Puerto Rican. And then she was like, what? And I was just like, yeah, we don't talk about that enough. Just like with the hot topic of like reggaeton not originally necessarily being 100% Puerto Rican, right? Like, I know, which we could talk about another time. But it's true. Like, it's not that necessarily anything. I am very much a person of like, it could originate somewhere and be perfected somewhere else, or like be different on its own. And that's why we have reggaeton that's like Colombian, and now you're seeing it everywhere else, and other people are trying it out. But yes, Dembo was in Puerto Rico. I'm gonna just leave it at that. I have nothing else to say.
Wow.
I don't make the rules.
I mean, I don't either. It's just
I feel like if someone wants to say something.
I don't know enough about it to have an opinion, to be honest.
I would say, like, if we're really gonna be like honest about it, everything comes from like the other islands. So like technically speaking, it would be like, I guess, like Jamaica and like all that stuff. If you think about it, like it had to originate there, and a lot of that music does come from like other islands. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if you look at some of the timelines in the 90s, it was hot. It was what it was. But also, like, I love Dembo now, so I'm not gonna say nothing. It's
good. It's good mindless
so
fun.
Good. I love when the Dominicans do anything. I'm just like, yes, give them a platform, please. We need that.
Let me not bring up the next topic because I haven't caught up yet. But all I'm gonna say is Amaya on Love Island. Love her. Anyway.
You would have the hot takes for Love Island.
Don't even get me started. I just started watching at my nail tech's house, like season 7, but like I've been keeping up on TikTok, so I at least know what's going on. And I'm like, the Nueva York video was trash. I haven't even watched it yet. I totally forgot.
Wes, that's crazy for somebody who didn't come on a podcast. That's crazy to have hot takes. That's real crazy.
Let that man take a break.
Bold. He is bold.
I also don't think it was trash. I don't think it was great or amazing, but it wasn't trash.
Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about the one that he put out on the 4th, or are we talking about the original one that he came out with? Debí tirar más foto.
Like it's the one from yesterday.
Fourth. So I understand why it could be seen as trash. However, I think it was a very, very loud political take on it. Yeah. He was very outspoken, and the fact that he took a voice, created some words behind it that this person has never spoken, to remind us that we are what makes this country move. We are what makes this country work. I felt like that was the epitome of that video. That video spoke loudly. In my opinion, I understand that. So the way that I saw it was it's showing us every generation of Puerto Ricans in the diaspora.
Yeah.
showing us that we have been there and we have done this and we have brought up this country.
Mhm.
So that's my take on it.
I would say I would agree with you. The message is there, and I do think that it can be kind of like when we and there's so many high expectations for something that is already so great, right? Like that a song in itself is amazing, and what a way to start that whole entire album. Like the first time I heard it, I was just like, wow, like it's also we don't see many. Well, I can't say that to be true. I would say recently where we're having this resurgence of like pride that we're seeing in a lot of things, and Puerto Rico kind of being on the map, you don't get to see a lot of people talking about that connection with the diaspora. That's exactly what he did, right? And that's awesome. Like that's how he started it. So I do think that the video, I saw some snippets, and what I thought was impressive. I do think there's a bigger message there, and I think it could be for people who kind of don't like it. It could be something that you watch a little bit more, and it might grow like on you just because of the message. Like you might not love it, but it might be something that you can look further down and be like, you know what, like when you're older and you're like telling your kids why being Puerto Rican is so awesome. And I do see it being that kind of resource, but I can get it. It's not for everybody. I understand that.
Yeah, it wasn't like your typical fun-loving video. It was still a good video, I think, but it wasn't like a fun party
Yes.
video. But I think it was more about the message, like you guys mentioned.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, I would say especially also because since it is Bad Bunny, there are higher expectations of like how much money he can put into producing a music videos, and we have seen other music videos which are chaos and they're amazing just because all the things that are happening. And so I do think like this one was a lot more message focused. I mean, overall, throughout it, overall, like in my opinion, in a way, like the whole story at the beginning is basically showing how people from Puerto Rico and other countries were living their lives back, celebrating their celebrations, their culture, their traditions, even being in the United States. And then obviously the whole few couple seconds where he's on top of the Statue of Liberty with the flag, which is something that like not many people know about, not many people understand, and so they see that and they start wondering where's that coming from? Is that happening right now? Like it's the 4th of July. What do you mean? Which is an interesting day to release that too, on purpose, of course. And then obviously I think the whole AI worded the words that saw a precedent said that weren't actually said in real life. I think it's interesting. There's been this whole discourse that I've seen like talking about past couple years where people refer to United States of America as just America when in reality America is the entire continent, North America, South America, and it kind of feels those other countries feel forgotten or ignored because they're not as great as the United States of America. And so having them kind of have a moment of like you are as great, you are important, you are valuable, I think is that. And also the final message, which I didn't think it was a hot take, like just like that united we're stronger, and then people were arguing that we're not as united. And maybe that's because some people don't want us to be united, maybe that's because some people want to create discourse, and there's always going to be divisive topics like politics, religion, sports, and things like that. And so that's one of the few things I like about the server. We can have a space to discuss those things respectfully, even though they're kind of contentious topics if you are opposing views in a way.
And just to give a little, I apologize, Stella, to interrupt you, but just to give a little tidbit of information on that, the Puerto Rican flag draped over the Statue of Liberty. This is a shout out to Tito Kayak. So for those of you that do not know, Tito Kayak is a super known environmentalist in Puerto Rico and has been fighting against all the environmental injustices that have occurred against Vieques specifically, by the U.S. government and every other environmental injustice that has occurred in Puerto Rico by the U.S. government. So he's very much he's done that where he's gotten on buildings and draped the flag and like made himself very visible and very known.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. And I did see some like comments coming in about the actual video not feeling like New Eurekan enough, which I would probably agree, because I do think that it's from a standpoint of someone who probably didn't live that, but respectfully tried to do as much research and know as much as they possibly can through their lens, right? Like our take for people who live here and have been like, it's like me going to the island and being like, oh yeah, like I know exactly what it's like to live there. No, you don't. But at the same time, like you have that experience shared indirectly and it feels strongly to you because it's a part of you in a way. Like I do feel connection. And that's something that we talk about all the time on the server, and like things that we're always experiencing. How can we connect with people on the island and vice versa? Like how can we kind of mend this disconnect? And I feel like that was probably more the goal than necessarily just like really 100% captivating that. I mean, there are songs that I feel kind of give me that. When I listen to 100% Big Pun, that is very New Yorican to me. When I hear that, I'm like, yeah, like that gives me that energy. This just made a lot of statements on a lot of different things, I would say.
Yeah.
And then I guess this could be a hot take that like kind of piggybacks off this, the fact that Bad Bunny's not touring here.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, am I upset? Yes. But do I get it? Yes. Like, I don't got the money to go out there and see him in the island. But I guess, like, you know, like if you're going to make a statement, so be it, I guess, in that regard. But I know a lot of people are butthurt about that. And I'm just like, you know, what can you do? I'd rather you make that statement, I guess, and feel like it isn't necessary than to do it for other pretentious reasons, I guess, in my eyes. But that would be, I guess, like a secondary hot take to what we were talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I want to cry about it, but I'm gonna be like, it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, you have this power and you're willing to make it known. And it's actually, I see the good in it where there are people like venturing out to other countries that they probably never would have. Like, if you have the means and you can do it, go, which I think is important too, to like understand what it's like to see us in other places. Like I know for book club, our last book, we were talking about Puerto Ricans in Hawaii, which I had no idea about until I started reading that book, The Taste of Sugar. And it was interesting because of it basically happened after the Spanish-American War. There was this big hurricane and a lot of people didn't have any sort of money, any sort of means. America came in, they devalued the peso, like people were in a really bad situation. And there were people coming and saying, hey, go to Hawaii, you're making money. And it was basically not what they thought it was. And what a lot of people don't realize is that there's still a Puerto Rican population in Hawaii today. You know,
I actually went to high school with a girl that now that I think about it, she was telling me that she was from Hawaii and moved to New York. And I believe her family is actually Filipino and Puerto Rican from Hawaii. And I'm like, the reason I bring this up, so I'm like, she actually popped up on my Instagram like right before I had like maybe like yesterday because she had gotten engaged, and I'm like, oh, good for her. But it just like now that you mention that, I'm like, I kind of just had that click for me like 2 minutes ago. And it's funny, like, because I'm like, I didn't even know about the Statue of Liberty thing, because I'm like, I knew there was a group of Puerto Ricans who like attacked Congress in 1954, which was like basically the whole reason for the gag law. And then I was trying to look up like what that was like meaning, and I'm like, I actually did make this mistake on the server, and I forgot to correct myself. I didn't realize the Statue of Liberty was adjacent to this, but then I believe it was President Jimmy Carter who pardoned the people in 1979, 2 years later, of who bombed Congress. So that was two whole separate instances that I actually thought were connected. So I'm correcting myself on that now.
On the record. But I do, and I love that. And I love that you can make that connection, because if you think about it, like we do kind of focus on like the more specific parts of the diaspora, right? So like you think Connecticut, New York, like mostly the tri-state area, Florida, stuff like that. But even in the server, we have so many people from so many different places, like every single time, like, and it may not be like everywhere, but I mean, sometimes we'll get a story. I think it was Truck, wasn't it? I think, because this was in book club. I think he lived in Minnesota for a while and was talking about how he had to get his like products like shipped to him, like sofrito and sazon and stuff like that. Because
I think it was Montana.
Montana, you were right. It was Montana. It was. Listen, it was a palm color.
I was like, how did you end up there?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, some people end up in crazy places, and I'm just like, how? And it's just like you have to figure it out, or maybe that was a calling for you, however it is. But like, I do think that there are a lot of us in places that we don't even think about. We don't even know. I've been in places where I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing here? And then you feel so good about it, right? Like when you see another Puerto Rican somewhere and you're just like so excited. Like I saw on TikTok, there's like this like a Puerto Rican like bomba club situation in Japan. And
Oh, is that the one I sent you?
yeah, I think so. I think it was.
Yeah, I saw that. And I'm like, I need to send this to everybody right this very second.
Yeah.
I thought that was the cutest thing.
I feel like if you end up in Japan somewhere, you're popular, you've made it. Like and listen, this might be a hot take. I'm gonna say it, and I might regret it later. I don't know as much, but from what I see, the Japanese can appropriate all they want. I love when they do it because they also had like an R&B club that I was just like, what is going on in there too? It looks like it's popping, but I think it's cool.
Yo, there's some Japanese rappers that are absolute heat, and don't even get me started on K-pop.
If you've never heard Orquesta de la Luz,
I have. Yes.
First Japanese salsa band, orchestra, however you want to call it. They were magnificent. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why, there's a lot of that Puerto Rican influence in Japan. Not just Puerto Ricans that were in the military that based themselves in Japan and lived in Japan for many years, but also that influence that we have culturally and musically that they have actually enjoyed and brought back to Japan and just made it grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And then think about the fusions that we have in Puerto Rico too. Like I still, to this day, if it's not coming from up north, the best, like, I guess, like, Chinese takeout, I still think is in Puerto Rico. And even here, like they have like the fusion, like the borichinos and stuff like that. And I love it. And let me tell you, when I see a Chinese person speaking better Spanish than me, wow. I'm like, okay, go ahead. I'm always so impressed. I'm like,
that reminds yesterday I was on TikTok and I actually saw this like fully Korean guy. And this is just adjacent, like a cute little anecdote. His girlfriend's Dominican and he's arguing with her mother, like playfully in fluent full Dominican accent Spanish, and he's like, "Oh, y tú no hablas inglés tampoco," and I'm like,
I saw that too.
I was like, "That's crazy." No, I love that. PR Chinese is good, but doesn't beat New York City Chinese. No, yeah, I could definitely see that, and especially too, like New York City Chinese, depending on like where you are in New York City, like you still find like the borichino spots, or like you got like the domichino spots. Like they're still around too, so you can easily. I think they even opened like a new borichino spot somewhere in Connecticut.
Yeah, in Wethersfield, Manchester, Borichina.
Yeah, I've been dying to go, and I'm just like, am I really about to drive an hour for food?
You should. It's absolutely.
I'm closer to Connecticut than I am New York City, so it's not like it's hard.
It is absolutely worth it. The only caveat is the wait time. That place is packed 100% of the time. Doesn't matter time of day. It is packed. You walk in there and it's like walking into a Chinese restaurant in Puerto Rico. Everyone's speaking Spanish. There's no English being spoken. It's all reggaeton or salsa music on the speakers. Like you are back in Puerto Rico when you go there.
I drive or fly to get food. No, I'm the same way because I'm like, I'm technically closer, like I'm in the part of New York where I'm actually closer to New Jersey or closer to Connecticut, depending on where. Like I get to Mahwah, New Jersey faster than I get to the Bronx. And it's also about 20 miles shorter. And then like Danbury, I can get there in an hour flat, like the center of Danbury, like right on 84. So at least for me, like, but don't get me wrong, it has also made me a Mexican food snob. I won't eat Mexican food in certain states now. Anyways, not the point of this conversation. It's just like, I have no problem driving to go get food, and everyone thinks this is a hot take. I'm like, bro, if I want to go get good food that I saw like on Instagram or TikTok, I'm going.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw like a couple of new fusion spots on Dykeman too, but Dykeman's always doing something. I'm just always looking to go eat. So
nothing wrong with that.
I feel like for me, like, okay, and this could be a hot take too. I didn't write this. I don't subscribe. I do think that there are a lot of cool concepts here, but there was like an article a couple years back talking about like Orlando becoming like a foodie really big up and coming like foodie city, which it started to expand a lot of places to eat here. So I feel jaded in that because there's always a new concept and everything here is far. Like Orlando is huge. So like you don't really you can like when people tell me that they're coming to Orlando and they're like, "Oh, I'm so excited to see you." I'm like, "Are you near Disney?" And I'm like, they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, You're not in Orlando." But like that's an hour away from Orlando. But
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. There are times when it's worth it. So I know a lot of people know about like Daddy Ninja, so that's like a Dominican sushi like fusion like spot that's out here. I haven't gone yet. I refuse to go because it's an hour away, and I'm like, damn. But I know it has to be good. I know it has to be good. I see those sushi rolls with like the pernil and all that, and I'm
Yo,
like,
that looked good. I saw that. I was like,
the same thing in Miami. Miami will have a lot of like I would say top tier like Latin type fusion. There's actually a sushi spot there that does not only like Dominican but Puerto Rican and then I think Colombian type of like sushi rolls. It's
Ooh.
insanity. But
My mom told me I need to go get Cuban food like the minute I land, and I'm like, you already know because there's like no Cubans in New York City, and I'm like, I want Cuban food.
it's gonna be worth it. It'll be worth it, especially when you go out to like Miami in general. I can't recommend a place because if you're closer to Hialeah, everything is good. Everything is good. Somebody's grandma's making it. And also what people don't realize because it's not necessarily Puerto Rican centric, but it is still adjacent. Like there's still Puerto Ricans out there. There are places in even Florida that you don't speak English. You don't. Like there are places in Miami where you are not speaking English. Like you are
You
speaking.
see, that's actually funny you bring that up because I went to college in the Bronx. I was in Van Cortlandt Park. So like for any New York City natives watching, that's 242nd, right at the end of the one. And when you walk down Manhattan College Parkway into Kingsbridge, you don't speak English. Like it is all Dominicans. Like that is why I feel like my accent's kind of like the way it is because I'm like most of like my fundamental Spanish speaking has either been with tourists at a really big mall or in the Bronx. So it's like that first semester that I came home for Christmas break, my parents were like, "Where the hell did this come from?" And it's like my mother learned English as an adult. She doesn't have an accent or anything, but it's like my accent compared to someone who's like fully like New Yorican and like someone who learned Spanish at home, it's very like, and then here we have a big like South American, Central American, and like Mexican immigrant population. So even in like that town, I don't speak English. It's just not worth it. And like once people like, it's just it. I feel like there's definitely some of those places that like there's a time and a place, and things will be get done faster if you choose the right one.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I didn't even get a chance to tell you guys this. I went with my nephew to Walmart and this guy, he had his door open and I was trying to get in my car and like they're blasting Spanish music, like look Puerto Rican as hell. And I'm like, hey, can I get through here real quick? And I don't know if they just weren't expecting the accent, expecting me to speak Spanish, like the Kate, I don't know what, but me and my nephew literally watched this man go, like literally the honk cat meme. There's a different spot in Fordham. Okay, so we're going. I love Fordham. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Listen, Florida gets a lot of slack. I understand why. I understand. I'm not gonna sell you on it like some people think I am. What I'm saying is I do think that with like where we are now in time and like how history has kind of worked out, it made sense to migrate to New York first, right? Like with everything that was going on back then. Now what I'm seeing is a lot of people straight from the island going straight to Florida. It's easier, it's quicker, but not only that, it's just kind of like I tell people all the time, it's the closest you're going to get to Puerto Rico, like weather-wise. And even culturally, like people talk about, and it's even in some of the songs in Puerto Rican songs and reggaeton and all that, like they'll talk about Kissimmee. Kissimmee is a very populated Puerto Rican place. Like it is very populated with Puerto Ricans. It is very, and I live in an area where there is a lot of like of that representation. But I get it. It's Florida. It's the South. It's crazy out here. But I do think that just shows you kind of like where things are and how people move and why they move and how they feel. I mean, I also think that there is this I don't know if it's happened to you guys, but I was originally born in Jersey. the whole thing, the whole mecca of it all is to like move somewhere warm, right? Like you spend all this time here and then you're like, I gotta get out. Like that's how a lot of like my grandparents felt that way. A lot of my aunts and uncles felt that way. We did that sooner. So like a lot of them are migrating here now. But I do think at the end all be all should just be going back to Puerto Rico. I don't know. That's me. I think that's my hot take as someone who like I've thought about it and I try to do a lot of like research. Even in the server, we talk about this a lot. Like who's moving back, who wants to move back, who doesn't want to move back. Right. It's like, and I see it. I want to be realistic in the sense that I would love to give back to my community if I go back. And I think maybe this isn't necessarily a hot take, but it is kind of like maybe a hot opinion. And I would love to see what you guys think. But like in terms of people in the diaspora moving back to the island, like obviously, how do we feel about that in regards to is it okay? Is it not okay? Right? Like, how does that work? Do we like really make people benefit? Like, are we helping our community by doing this and going in there versus maybe people who are fully American and taking advantage of all the benefits that they get through the government? Like, I don't know. I personally think if you're giving to your community and you have a lot of, you just want to be able to help and you also are just being integrated into your culture, I feel like it's a great thing, but I don't know.
I think that's a perfect segue to one hot take that I had, which is Puerto Ricans on the mainland don't understand the struggles of the island.
Yes.
Which I feel like it's very, it has certain truths to it,
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of Puerto Ricans that live in the diaspora are very well versed in what's going on in the island, have family members that still live on the island and know the political climate, know the financial hardships, know everything that's happening on the island. So like generalizing that every Puerto Rican that lives on the mainland doesn't understand the struggles of the island, I feel is a gross generalization.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that gives a segue to that hot take.
I would agree. I think that in a certain like situation, sometimes a lot of us may romanticize it in a way where like it does feel like, oh, like to be back in the island, all these roots, all this stuff, be around my people. But like, that they have issues with power. That the government there is terrible, that they're having their own political struggles on top of having to deal with whatever we have going on here, which is like stressful in its own right. And you have the thing of, it's also this big conversation, I think, of we can be very close and we can understand each other, but our experiences are so significantly different. So significantly different. Whereas like, for example, like people in Puerto Rico don't necessarily know what it's like to be discriminated against as just being Puerto Rican. Where that's something that we have to deal with growing up. Maybe the colorism is still in the island because you can't avoid that anywhere. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not like that's not something that they have to grow up with. And we don't have to grow up with things like having like essentials being ripped out from us and not understanding why. Also, the communication, even though it's gotten better within time, like the way that they react to things is so different from like what we're dealing with now. I think we can always be united and we can always understand each other, but there are things that we don't understand fully when it comes to living there that I feel like it's important to talk about. And I can understand people on the island being like, well, you don't get it. And it's not as fun. You're not out here like eating bacalao and arroz con andula every day. It's like you have to live and understand that you're going to have to slow down and you're going to have to be part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not all piña colada and plátanos out there. Like there's actually hardships, Yeah. Like I asked before, like, are you ready to live in El Campo where you may not have power, you may not have water, where you might have to pick fruit from a tree, not out of fun or romanticizing it, but out of a necessity. Are you ready for the floods? Are you ready for, any kind of weather, any political sting? Like there's good and bad.
Yeah. Like I've definitely thought about it, and I'm like, maybe like, because like most of my family, like at least on my mom's side, does still live on the island. Whereas most of my dad's immediate family moved within like the Puerto Rican diaspora areas. But it's like I feel like I haven't been back and forth as much as I would like. But like too, like even just depending on where you live or where your family has housing, like your experiences are completely different. So like when Hurricane Maria hit, my grandmother's house is in Villa Carolina. They had almost no issues. They had some water damage, but that was about it. But we've always had like but now, even almost 10 years later, like there's still water trucks in the neighborhood when the water goes out. Or it's like, oh, like se fue la luz, like type shit. But like that's really about it. Like you're not really dealing with too much. But whereas like with my family in El Campo on my mom's side, it's like, oh, like it took them 2 years to fix their roof.
Mm.
And but it's also like at the same time here, like I live in upstate New York. When it snows bad here, well, there has been times like during snowstorms where we haven't had power for a full week. We've had to bury our food in the snow. Like, and especially too, like if you're on well water and you don't have a generator, you don't have water. Like
Mm.
our toilets haven't worked, the showers don't work. So I'm taking a baño with like a taza and like a 5 gallon jug, and it's 20 degrees outside, and I'm walking by like candlelight. So like I feel like to an extent too, like depending on like where you grew up and how you grew up, it's kind of different. Because even we also got hit by Hurricane Sandy. That knocked out enough trees that we didn't have power for like 3 days. And like 2 blocks down from me, it flooded 8 feet of water, and they still haven't been able to build houses there.
Mm.
So it's like, and I always grew up about hearing like the hardships. Like I've seen it like when I've gone back to the island, and I really feel it's like there's like depending on where you grow up, it's definitely easy to relate. And knowing how your family's grown up, like even when I've gone to see my family in Acampo, like it's the same thing. Like no power. Like I'm running around on the farm with the chickens. Like there, I'm still gonna kill my neighbor's rooster if I ever see him on site with that specific rooster. I'm gonna make him a dazo pao, bro. I can't. Um,
Like chicken, so I get it.
he has 3 roosters across the street from the house in Villa Carolina. 5 a.m. They're running around.
I wish I could listen. I have beef with chickens, turkeys. I don't eat much like red meat just because of like texture. Sometimes it's good, but it's not something I would do. I'll eat a chicken. I'll eat all the chicken in the world. I'll eat any turkey. And if
You
I
see,
see
turkeys don't bother me because I live in the woods. So like, there's turkeys in my yard, snapping turtles. We got bears. Like, I remember the one time I saw an iguana in Puerto Rico. I was like, "Oh, that's cool as shit." And my grandpa was like, "I gotta go move it so we can park the car."
yes,
And I'm like, "Oh."
even like in Miami, if it gets a little too cold here, they freeze. It's crazy, like iguanas, and they're juicy, and they'll be in the trees, and then you see them just like, and then you're like, are they dead?
That's
No,
crazy.
they're not dead.
No.
It's just
No, like we have 90 million frogs here. Like, so like the wildlife doesn't bother me. That's really why I want to move to Puerto Rico. I'm like, I just want to see the animals. I love lizards and like salamanders. I think they're so cute, and like snakes. Like
Fire.
even here, I got to be careful with the snakes because like some of them are poisonous.
Fire. Since you're in Puerto Rico, do you see a lot of iguanas like in the area you're in?
Every now and then, I mean, where
As you
I
look
grew up, as you can see, I have a forest behind me, basically of sorts. There's a couple of iguanas back there, and so as I grew up, because I've been living in this house, like since I remember. I technically lived in San Juan in a small apartment when I was younger, but I didn't actually remember. Um, so growing up, I lived here, and then we had a dog that was usually on the outside, and he would fight the iguanas and kill them. And so
Oh.
like every like growing up, every like month or two, we would see like 2 or 3 iguanas just dead, and we would have to like get a trash bag, take it out, because he would start eating them, which is, you know, even grosser. Um, so I would say like the iguanas definitely sometimes, they are around. They usually kind of come from the forest behind me. My neighbor had a rooster. It only lasted a year though, but that year you would hear it every single time. 5 in the morning, you would be like, "What's happening? I don't want to wake up yet. I want to keep on sleeping." Um, so it was a bit annoying in that aspect. But no, I wouldn't say iguanas are a problem. I going back a little bit, I do think it's a hot topic overall, like the whole Puerto Rican and diaspora potentially moving in, even from the island point of view. I don't necessarily share the opinion that most people do, but um, like I do feel like there's a couple people that are like hesitant to like trust or like be happy that other people are moving in, because again, as you said, there are different experiences, there are different like life shaping situations, and they are struggling to an extent, and people moving into the island are making it more expensive. Granted, it's not necessarily people from the diaspora trying to come back in. It's people who have money, have like uh to like raise up the prices on rent or kick people out of their own rent to like be able to like live it there. And so I do think that that's a very contentious situation, and it's interesting because it's a little bit all over the place. It's people who like, I feel like, support certain kind of politics in Puerto Rico who are kind of more aggressive in that aspect, ironically enough. And like I don't know. It's a really interesting situation. Like, I don't know, politics in Puerto Rico is very different than politics in the United States, and I think that's kind of part of the problem. And so I wouldn't say things are super bad to the point that you're going to be having to pick up a fruit from a tree to survive, because supermarkets still exist because we're
Yeah.
technically still U.S. territory. We have like Econo and Supermax and like Costco and Sam's and all that. It's just a bit more expensive because of the U.S. Merchant Marine, Jones Act, and everything. That like maximizes like the price because that has to come through that way a little bit more. So I think it's definitely a struggle for sure. I would say, like, in a way, I think that people from the diaspora who want to move back, who have the intentions of supporting the island, how trying to figure it out, trying to help it make better. I don't think that's necessarily a bad intentions, and I think that those people should come back to the island, try to like get back to the roots. Obviously, some people want to take advantage of the tax cuts and those kind of things, and it sucks that the government is the way that it is. People sometimes blame the government that they weakened the power grid or let it, deteriorate to this point in time. So now they have to privatize it. Same with water. There's been rumors that they're trying to do the same thing with water. And, I don't necessarily think that like, you have to have water and power be government subsidized. But, when you have a private company and they have the whole monopoly, they can basically charge you for everything.
Yeah.
And so figuring out a balance of sorts is definitely important. And yeah.
I'd argue most power and water companies are monopolies. Like, if you look at like Con Ed in New York, they're basically the entire grid for New York City. And then I believe that Long Island even operates off their part of their grid, and even upstate New York operates part of all is like parented off of that. And I was like, this is some
Hmm.
they're iguana pastelitos. Xavier, unless you send us a picture, I'm no longer believing a single food thing you
Okay,
said.
he is right in that. That is true. People do it. Because
Like,
I
I need a picture because I
I only knew about it once when I went to go visit when I was in high school. Like, I went to go visit my, not like they're very much son jibaro, and I was like, "Gay?" And they were like,
That's
"No, sí."
nasty.
Yes, and it's gay.
iguanas are invasive to Puerto Rico, so like I get why.
There are a lot of
But
them.
yeah, like I know they're trying to cut the population, but
I just feel like it's one of those things like you have the if you have the resources, you're gonna do it. Like I said, my grandmother was very much like we took her out of Puerto Rico. It did not matter. Before she got dementia, this woman was in Orlando cutting up chickens. You cannot take it away from her. And we started to realize she was kind of losing it because we'd go and she'd see like roadkill on the street and she'd be like, "Ay, me lo voy a comer." And it was like a glove on the street. And I'm like, girl, like you can't eat everything. But like that, I think that's what it is because I would never do that. I'm there with you. Like I guess some of us would eat that and they would experiment. Could never be me. But it is what it
what
is.
I miss from Puerto Rico is eating almonds off the tree.
Yeah. I would say eating
like
anybody's like stuff like, and my mom does this and I'm always like, stop. She'll go out of her way to be like, I'm gonna go steal this tree from somebody's mango like tree or whatever. And I'm like, you don't know those people. And she's like, you don't know me and you don't know this island. And I said, say less. I'm gonna mind my business. But I will say this, I do have a question. I saw it come up for fire because you did make the move back. Like, how has that been for you and like your personal experience on like moving and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, so it was chaotic to in a way, because I mean, so basically, I'm moving here like temporarily to an extent. I grew up here. I went to the United States for university reasons, finished my studies, and now I came back for the summer, and I'm gonna go continue my studies later on. But because it's gonna be in France, it's a whole different country. I'm not gonna actually move everything from United States to France. Like that's a whole ass shit show that I'm trying to figure out. And I'm in the process of, but Yeah, no, I mean, I would say like, especially because I have a couple things that are already pre-established. You know, I'm living with my parents while I'm here, so that's kind of makes the whole process easier. But it was definitely tough in the sense of like when you're moving, you kind of have to sell a couple things. You have to kind of throw out a couple things, and sometimes you kind of keep on like there were certain things that were like of sentimental value of sorts or things like that. I was like, what do I do with this? Like I should throw it out because like I'm not gonna use this anymore. But at the same time, I want to keep it. But at the same time, you have to watch out for the weight for the planes. You know, you don't want to pay extra to check in a bag. We ended up having to buy an extra luggage, which was kind of crazy. I did not expect that I was gonna have that much, but it's I'm still unpacking.
Yeah.
Like honestly, my sister was here with me this past week, and she left yesterday, so we were like trying to visit all the family members, trying to spend time with them, and just like I got here, and you know, just having to do like overall chores that like weren't done because me and my sister were not here. So yeah, no, I mean, I haven't unpacked yet. If that makes like, I started unpacking, but there's still a couple things that I have yet to do, for sure. But it's nice being here. I enjoy it. It's hot. It's like 87 degrees outside, and I'm outside right now. I'm almost about to sweat.
I could tell.
Um, but it's fun. It's fun. I've enjoyed it here. It was really nice seeing this family, spending time with the family, and I think that's one of the good things. Like, you know, especially in the United States, like growing up here, I would say like, oh my God, I have to drive an hour to Maya West, like that's super far away. Um, and when I lived in Cincinnati and Cleveland and Ohio and the United States overall, you know, there were times where I was like, okay, I guess I have to drive to Chicago for like a conference, and it doesn't like I don't know. I no longer see Maya West, which is on the other side of the island, as far.
That's
It's
a
like,
long
oh,
drive.
that's like
Yeah.
right there. Like it's an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max with traffic. And like right now, I'm to the point that like if a friend over there tells me like, oh yeah, come over, you can as long as it's spend the night, you know, that way, like I don't have to drive back 4 hours the same day. Like I'm like, fuck it, let's go to the beach over there. Let's have fun over there, like enjoy it. Because Puerto Rico's so small in a way that you think it's huge when you're growing up, but like once you live in the United States, like nah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's tiny.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely think that's probably part of the reason like my gauge of distance is so skewed. Like an hour for me to go get food is nothing. Because I'm like, my nearest good mall is 45 minutes. And depending on which one it is, it's either going to be a good 30 miles or 15 miles, depending on which one.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and not only that, I have to drive to even get to public transportation.
Mm.
And I'm like driving for me is nothing. Like I like driving. Like if I feel like if I were to move to Puerto Rico, like you want to drive, okay, bye. Like I might die, but whatever.
Vámonos.
Right. I was gonna say, try driving up one of those mountains. My grandpa, he used to live in a mountain. It was side like this is the mountain, this is his house. The whole thing was sideways, and I was just like, somebody help me, please.
I love
But
it.
Yeah.
the distance is like it's different. Like when I lived in Jersey, everything was 20 minutes away. You have public transportation. Here, if you don't have a car, you might as well just like live in your house because you can't do it. Everything's
Yeah.
far. So I
How it
get
is
it.
in Texas. It's like everything good is like 2 hours and something
Everything
away
is
from me.
crazy far in Texas. Oh my God. Every single
Mhm.
time I visit, I'm like, you guys are gonna have to come here. Make your day commute. I don't care. Because I'm not gonna see everyone.
Yeah, it's a day thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, at least for me, like for me to go see my friends, I like if anyone feels like looking at a map of New York, my friends live between Poughkeepsie and Long Island. So I'm just always driving. And it's like even like my county for to go do anything fun, you still have to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we don't have Uber. Like we do in theory, but like you're going to be waiting 20 to 30 minutes minimum for an Uber depending on the time of day. Like it's not reliable. And then even then, like my house is close to New Jersey Transit. Not even that's reliable after a certain time of day.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, public transportation is not reliable, sadly
Yeah.
here, and then it's
Like unless
overall.
you're in a major city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's that time for us, but I want to say one hot take and then we got to get out of here. We should bring back Johnny's chair because it was here today.
This
And
one?
yes.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wait. Wes has a bachata hot take.
Yeah. I want. Go ahead.
Wow.
I want to acknowledge Wes's bachata hot take.
Wes has been saying he was supposed to be on break. He was basically the sixth podcast person in the comments, so we'll have to get on him for that because he'll be around next week. But this was.
Does anyone have any hot takes they want to just mention, throw out there without actually talking about them, and just kind of leave them there, get attacked later on?
I have one right now.
What's up?
A lot of hot takes from people that did not want to be here, Wes.
Wes said he was taking a break, and if he did not take a break today, I would have personally driven to his house.
No, I told him to take a break too. That's not the problem. My problem is that he didn't, because he was in the comments the whole time trying to start stuff.
No,
it's fine. Hot take, we need to start bringing some people on the server here so we can start fighting against each other because it's giving battle royale in the comments. So I know I'm gonna get chewed up and spit out today after this podcast, so you guys enjoy it.
I don't know. We got Macho Man out there too. You know.
Remember, we can continue these conversations. There's a podcast chat on Discord. You know, if you want to flame any one of us, you know, feel free to do so, and then we can keep on talking about things.
I agree. The podcast channel needs love on Discord. If you want to talk about any of these topics, politics, we're talking in the Gen chat. Bonchincheros is a very extreme place for hot takes. You can talk there. So if you haven't been on the Discord, please do. And this was fun.
I'll have 3 hot takes that I will say quickly before we leave, and I'm glad that I didn't have to explain them.
oh boy.
Dory is the best server tag decision. That's that from the start. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. I know some people think differently. Secondly, which is more political, PR will never get statehood. I don't think that's as a hot take for us people who like have been living in the diaspora and that kind of thing. But I think people in the island don't really think about that. But
just to make a quick antidote off that second thing, people don't realize that if Puerto Rico becomes a state, in whatever house of government is population based, they get a shit ton of say. Because I think we would have like 3 or 4 representatives.
We would.
Yeah.
We would technically. I've done the math. If right now we're in between 2 states that have both 4 representatives. By 4 representatives being added, maybe like that whole changes the whole census, so we'd be down to 3. But you know, that's 4 representatives, possibly 2 in the Senate as well, which is part of like, you know, why I'm not gonna go too much into it, but partly why Republicans don't want it to be, because you know, once they start adding more states, Puerto Rico, DC, and all the other territories, you know, they're mostly gonna be Democratic leaning, and that's like 12 senators, which they're only 100 right now. You know, it's a big difference.
DC is a state.
No, Washington DC is not a state.
Yes, it is.
I thought it wasn't.
I thought it was a Commonwealth.
No, DC is a state.
I don't think so. Wait.
Oh my God.
Hold up.
Google time. Let Fire do the last hot take. We'll fight about this after. We'll have
the last one.
I'm lying. It's federal district. Okay.
There you go. Okay. I was like, wait, I missed historical news. The last one is that apparently, I don't know about you guys, but Discord apparently is the best tool for new online connections and dating. I mean, I don't know, looking at 3 of you here.
You motherfucker.
All right. That's all, folks.
That is the one who hasn't finished setting up.
That's Fire. You're really? You're still tú todavía estás soltero, so you're very bold for messing with everyone because now everybody's coming.
Exactly.
You are the target. You're the target.
Yeah.
I can't miss everyone and enjoy it.
Aquí, I'm gonna put mis fotos later. It's been later. You
put a can of beans. A can of beans. Anyways, don't listen to this man. But you know what? Podcast, we're battle royale. We're gonna get fired. Somebody, we're gonna get him an ember. It's happening.
I'm gonna light a fire under his ass to finish his shit.
All right, Johnny, wrap it up.
All right. So with that being said, this has been episode 4 of Diasporicans Connect. Hot takes. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.